Let me tell you something that might shift the way you look at what you're going through right now. Every battle in your life has a reason. I know it might not feel like it when you're in the thick of the fight, when your back is against the wall and it seems like everything is falling apart. But hear me when I say this. That situation, that hardship, that heartache, it's not random. It's not punishment. It's not just bad luck. There's purpose in it. You see, God never allows anything in your life without a reason behind it. We don't always see that reason right away. Sometimes we don't see it for years. But that doesn't mean it's not there. The pain you're feeling today might be the platform for the strength you'll need tomorrow. That betrayal you didn't see coming may have been the catalyst for your growth. That door that slammed in your face may be what redirected you to your true calling. What feels like loss could actually be preparation for gain. Too many people are praying for the mountain to be moved when the mountain was never the problem. It was the training ground. You wanted it to disappear, but God wanted you to climb it, because in the climbing you discover who you really are. In the pressing you learn what's in you. And don't get it twisted. Faith doesn't mean you won't feel pain. Faith means you keep going even while you're hurting. It means you look up and say, I don't understand this, but I trust there's a reason for it. Some of the greatest blessings come dressed in the disguise of struggle. You might be asking, why me? But a better question might be, what is this preparing me for? You wouldn't ask to be broken. You wouldn't sign up for the loneliness, the rejection, the confusion. But what if those very things are shaping you into the person who can carry what you prayed for? What if the fire is the very thing forging the strength you'll need to hold your destiny? You think you're fighting to survive, but God is using the fight to teach you how to win. You're being refined, stretched, elevated. There's no growth without a little discomfort. No diamond comes without pressure. No champion rises without resistance. The battle is the proof that you're close to something greater than where you are right now. And let me tell you, favor doesn't exempt you from the fight. In fact, sometimes it invites it, because the enemy doesn't attack people who are going nowhere. He attacks what he fears. If the pressure's been heavy, maybe it's because what's inside of you is powerful. Maybe it's because the assignment on your life is big. You're not being crushed, you're being called. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. I need you to stop interpreting hard times as rejection. Start seeing them as redirection. Start seeing them as revelation. Because the more the enemy tries to distract you, the clearer it should become that you're on the right path. You were never promised a life without battles, but you were promised that you wouldn't face them alone. And here's the thing, when you come out of this, and you will come out of it, you're going to see it differently. You'll say, if I hadn't gone through that, I never would have learned how strong I really am. I never would have found out what was truly important. I never would have discovered who's really with me and who's just around me. There's a clarity that only comes from chaos, a wisdom that only comes from wounds, a strength that only comes when you've had to stand in the storm. Some of you are in that place right now. You're tired. You're wondering if it's even worth it. You're questioning if there's anything good on the other side of this. And I'm here to tell you there is. But you don't get to the other side by sitting down in your pain. You get there by pushing through it, by standing strong, by trusting that even if it doesn't make sense right now, it will one day. And when that day comes, you'll look back and realize it wasn't wasted. None of it was wasted. Not the tears, not the late nights, not the disappointments. God never wastes pain. If He allowed it, He plans to use it. He's not just writing your story, He's editing it, refining it, removing what won't serve the ending He's planned for you. Every battle is a sentence in a greater chapter. And if you're still in the middle of it, that just means the story isn't over yet. So instead of asking to escape the battle, ask for the strength to endure it. Instead of praying for ease, pray for endurance. Because you were built to withstand it. You were equipped before the storm ever started. And you may be bruised, but you're not broken. You may be weary, but you're still standing. And that means you've still got purpose to fulfill. You've still got ground to take. You've still got glory to reveal. The battle has a reason. And if you don't give up now, you live to see why. You know, sometimes we expect faith to be a shield that blocks us from every hard thing in life. We think if we just believe enough, we won't have to feel pain, won't have to walk through fire, won't face betrayal, heartbreak, disappointment, or fear, but that's not how it works. Faith doesn't keep the storms from coming. Faith is what holds you up in the middle of the storm. Faith is not the absence of trouble. It's the presence of strength in the face of it. When everything around you is shaking, faith says, I may not understand what God is doing, but I believe He's still in control. There's a difference between having faith and having feelings. Feelings will lie to you. Feelings will tell you to give up. They'll tell you it's over. They'll whisper that God forgot about you, that it's too late, that nothing will ever change. But faith speaks louder than feelings. Faith says, I'm not walking by what I see, I'm walking by what I know. And what I know is that God didn't bring me this far just to leave me now. What I know is that even when I can't trace His hand, I can trust His heart. Faith is not about denying the difficulty. It's about choosing to believe anyway. You can cry and still have faith. You can question and still have faith. You can walk with a limp and still have faith. Don't let anyone tell you that faith means smiling all the time or pretending everything is okay. Real faith is raw. It shows up in the darkness. It shows up when you're tired, when you've run out of answers, when you're standing in front of a door that won't open and you're still knocking, still hoping, still trusting. Some of the strongest faith is born in the valley. It's easy to believe when everything is going well, when the money's good, the relationships are smooth, the doors are opening. But true faith is proven when nothing makes sense. When you prayed and the answer didn't come, when you waited and the breakthrough didn't arrive, when you trusted and you still got hurt. That's where faith is forged. That's when it becomes more than a word. It becomes your lifeline. Faith is not magic. It doesn't erase reality. But what it does is anchor you to something greater than yourself. It reminds you that even if your situation hasn't changed, you can change in the situation. It gives you perspective. It lifts your eyes off the waves and onto the one who walks on them. Faith says this is hard, but it's not the end. I may be surrounded, but I'm not abandoned. I may be pressed, but I'm not crushed. I may be delayed, but I'm not denied. And let me tell you, faith is not passive. It's not just sitting back and hoping things will work out. No, real faith shows up in action. Faith gets up when it would be easier to stay down. Faith speaks life when death is all around. Faith praises when there's nothing to praise for yet. Faith moves forward when every voice says, turn back. That's the kind of faith that opens doors. That's the kind of faith that gets God's attention. Not a perfect faith, not a polished faith, but a persistent faith. Sometimes God doesn't respond to the loudest voice in the room. He responds to the most faithful one, the one who keeps believing even in silence, the one who keeps walking even in pain, the one who says, I don't see it yet, but I still believe it's coming. That's the kind of faith that breaks chains. That's the kind of faith that shifts atmospheres. And hear me, there will be moments when your faith feels small, when all you got is a mustard seed. But even that is enough, because it's not about the size of your faith. It's about the strength of the one your faith is in. That seed, when planted in the soil of trust, can grow into a tree that outlasts the storm. Don't underestimate what God can do with a little bit of belief and a whole lot of surrender. Maybe you're in a place right now where you're tempted to give up on faith. Life hit you hard. You didn't see it coming. You prayed, you fasted, you did everything you knew to do, and still it didn't work out the way you thought it would. And you're standing there wounded and weary, wondering if faith is even worth it. Let me remind you, faith isn't about outcomes. Faith is about obedience. It's about staying the course even when the results don't look like you expected. Because God isn't just after what he can do for you, he's after what he can do in you. Faith shapes your character. It stretches your capacity. It aligns your heart with his. And sometimes he'll allow the delay not to punish you, but to develop you. Sometimes the answer is not yet. Not because you're forgotten, but because you're being prepared. And one day when the breakthrough comes, and it will come, you'll look back and see why you had to go through what you did. You'll realize that if you hadn't leaned on faith, you would have collapsed under the pressure. You'll see that faith wasn't just something you used, it was something that carried you. So don't throw away your confidence. Don't let go of your hope. Keep trusting, keep believing, keep standing strong. Because faith is not just about getting you out, it's about bringing you through. And what's waiting on the other side is greater than anything you've ever seen. There's something powerful you need to understand about the battles you're facing. It's not just about you. I know you feel like you're all alone in the fight, like no one sees how hard you're trying, like nobody understands the weight you're carrying. But let me tell you something. Your struggle is not just about your survival. Your story is going to be someone else's strength. Your endurance is going to be someone else's encouragement. Somebody's watching how you walk through the fire. And when they see you come out not burned, but better, they'll know that it's possible for them too. You may not think you're making a difference while you're bleeding behind closed doors. You may think you're just barely hanging on. But what you don't realize is that someone else is being inspired by your decision not to quit. Every time you choose to get back up, even when life knocks you down, you are proving that faith works. You are showing that resilience is real. And whether you realize it or not, you're giving someone permission to believe again. See, the enemy didn't just come after you because of what you have. He came after you because of what your life will mean to others. He knows that if you ever figure out who you are, if you ever embrace the purpose inside of your pain, you become dangerous to darkness. You'll walk with authority. You'll speak with power. You'll live with clarity. And others will look at you and say, if they made it through that, then maybe I can make it through this. Some of the most powerful testimonies come from the deepest wounds. The truth is, people don't need to hear your perfection. They need to see your perseverance. They don't need polished speeches or flawless performances. They need your honesty. Your scars speak louder than your sermons. When you open your mouth and say, yes, I went through depression, but I didn't give up. Yes, I lost everything, but I still have faith. Yes, I cried myself to sleep, but I kept believing. That is what moves hearts. That's what gives hope. You don't have to have it all together to be a light to someone else. Sometimes just your presence in the room, still standing after everything you've been through, is the testimony. It's the quiet strength, the unspoken resilience, the way you still smile even with tears in your eyes. That's what people remember. That's what shifts atmospheres. You are a walking miracle, whether you realize it or not. And don't think for a second that your battles are wasted just because they're private. Just because others didn't see you struggle doesn't mean your breakthrough won't shine in public. God often allows our greatest transformation to happen in the dark, so that when He brings us into the light, we carry something real, something unshakable, something that can't be faked. You may be going through something right now and asking God, why me? But maybe the better question is, who is this for? Who is going to be changed because you didn't quit? Who is going to find faith because you held on to yours? Who is going to walk into purpose because you were willing to walk through pain? It might be your children watching you closely, learning how to handle life by watching how you endure. It might be someone at your job, someone you don't even realize is being influenced by your peace, your patience, your attitude. It might be someone in your community watching you rise from something they thought no one could survive. Every time you choose not to retaliate, not to fall apart, not to stay bitter, you are preaching a sermon with your life. You're not just surviving, you're setting a standard. You're not just enduring, you're equipping others. What you're carrying is bigger than your current season. That's why the pressure has been so intense. That's why the warfare has been so heavy. The enemy knows what you're carrying, even if you don't. He sees the ripple effect your life will have, the people who will be set free because you are bold enough to believe, strong enough to stand, faithful enough to endure. And let me say this, your breakthrough isn't just for your benefit, it's a breakthrough for your bloodline. It's going to shift generations. Your healing will make space for healing in your family. Your courage will create confidence in those around you. Your obedience to keep going, to keep trusting God, to keep walking in purpose, it's going to outlive you. Long after this season is over, the impact of your faith will remain. So don't minimize what you're going through. Don't downplay your endurance. Don't think for 1 second that your fight is in vain. Somebody is watching and they're gaining strength because of you. Somebody is finding hope because of the way you refuse to give up. Somebody is believing again because they see you still standing, still praising, still pressing forward in the face of adversity. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real. Let your scars speak. Let your story breathe. Let your journey inspire. Because every tear, every trial, every time you chose to hold on instead of walk away, it's building something bigger than you. It's not just about the fight, it's about the fruit. And what comes from this will be greater than you can imagine. What you survive today will be someone else's survival guide tomorrow. There comes a moment in every battle, right in the middle of the struggle, where quitting starts to sound like relief, where giving up seems easier than pressing through, When you've cried all you can cry, prayed every prayer you know how to pray, and it still feels like nothing is shifting. And the voice of discouragement creeps in and says, why keep going? Why keep believing? Why keep standing strong when everything around you is trying to knock you down? And I came to tell somebody today, don't break. Break through. Yes, it's hard. I won't stand here and pretend that life doesn't hurt sometimes. I won't try to sugarcoat the weight of disappointment or act like every day feels like victory. But listen to me, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's over. Just because you feel weak doesn't mean you're finished. Pain is not the signal to quit. It's often the signal that you're close to something important. Something's being born in you. Something's being refined in you. And when pressure increases, it doesn't always mean something's wrong. Sometimes it means you're on the verge of breakthrough. Too many people stop in the middle. They pause at the edge of transformation. They give up one step before the turning point. And I wonder how many doors have been left unopened, not because they were locked, but because the person stopped knocking. How many dreams were buried, not because God didn't want to fulfill them, but because somebody gave up before the harvest came? Let me tell you, there is a grace to keep going. There is a strength that kicks in when your strength runs out. But you've got to keep showing up. You've got to keep swinging, even if you don't see the results yet. Just because the progress isn't visible doesn't mean it isn't happening. Growth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply not give up. There's a reason the Bible says, having done all to stand, stand therefore. Not run, not retreat, not collapse, stand. Because standing is an act of war when life is trying to push you down. Standing is a declaration that you believe God is still working. It's a sign that you know who you are, even when everything else is uncertain. And I get it. You're tired. You've been faithful. You've waited a long time. But can I remind you that the delay doesn't mean denial? The silence doesn't mean absence. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. And the enemy would love nothing more than to get you to lay down your weapon now, because he knows what's coming if you don't. He knows what's waiting on the other side of your endurance. You can't build strength and comfort. You can't develop endurance without resistance. The very thing that's trying to break you could be the thing God is using to make you. You keep asking God to remove the pressure, but what if he's using it to reveal who you really are? What if the pressure is not punishment, but preparation? Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who've had the easiest paths. They're the ones who chose not to give up when everything in them wanted to. They cried, but they kept walking. They doubted, but they kept believing. They were scared, but they showed up anyway. That's what courage looks like. That's what faith looks like in motion. You don't need perfect conditions to keep moving. You don't need everyone to understand or approve. What you need is focus. You need to remember why you started. You need to silence every voice that tells you it's too late, you're not good enough, it won't happen for you. Because those voices aren't coming from truth, they're coming from fear. And fear has no authority where faith is active. Every great breakthrough requires a decision to either bow under the weight of the trial or rise through it. And I'm telling you, there is something greater on the other side of this storm. There's purpose in the pain, there's strength in the struggle, and there's victory in the perseverance. But you've got to endure. You've got to stay committed, even when you feel overlooked. You've got to keep building, even when no one sees the foundation. Let them doubt you. Let the season test you. Let the pressure shape you, but don't you dare quit. Because when the breakthrough comes, and it will come, you'll be stronger, wiser, and more rooted than you've ever been. And you'll realize it wasn't just about what you were going through, it was about what God was doing in you all along. You don't need to break down. You need to break through. You don't need to step back. You need to step up. There is power in perseverance. There is healing in holding on. And there is victory for those who refuse to let go when the night is darkest. Keep standing, keep pushing, keep trusting, because what's ahead of you is far greater than what's behind you. And if you can just make it through this, you'll find out it was worth every tear, every prayer, every moment you chose to keep going. The enemy didn't fight you this hard because you're weak. He fought you because you're close.